Hey everybody, it's James here from NeuralNet Games, and today we're talking about Prosperity 4 items. We're going over the head and hand slots. I'm going to share tips and tricks on how they work. We're going to talk about synergies, which classes they interact with, all kinds of good stuff like that. But before we get to that, I just want to let you know I've got a Magic the Gathering channel where I'm creating really cool original deck vids. Make sure you come and check that out. I'm going to put a link to the channel down in the pinned comment. And if you're interested in Magic, come and see the original decks that I put together. And also, board game wise, I am going through every single item by Prosperity. I've already done everything prior to Prosperity 4. So make sure you check out the item discussion playlist. I'm going to link that in the description. And also I'm doing a tier ranking system, like a tier ranking for items by Prosperity, so that you can go and see which items are best, which items are worst, and why. I'm having a great time with it. I'm already done Prosperity 3. So again, that link will be down in the description. And let's get to the Prosperity 4 items. Okay, the first item we're going to talk about is the Hawk Helm. At 20 gold, a fairly decent price for an item that can be quite powerful in certain situations. It is not as good overall as the Eagle Eye Goggles, but it still definitely has its uses. And you may be thinking like, oh yay, I can add +1 range to my 4 range attack and make it 5 range. What's the point? Well, once in a while that allows you to do some interesting things, maybe dodge some ranged retaliate, maybe attack a monster as it comes in and soften it up so that it moves into position and your friends can finish it off, stuff like that. But what you really need to be thinking about is multi-target attacks. Things that can hit all monsters within X range. Like when you hit everything within 1 range around you, that's 6 hexes. When you hit everything within 2 range, that's 18 hexes. When you hit everything within 3 range, that's 36 hexes. And if you can get something out to range 4, you're pretty much hitting an entire room. And so the combo possibilities start adding up quite quickly. So opportunity cost, we can't have something like Eagle Eye Goggles, we can't have something like Empowering Talisman, but for certain classes, it is definitely going to be better. So let's talk about those classes. So first, the Spellweaver, Impaling Eruption. Obviously just going to add an extra range and allow you to hit 1 more target, potentially adding another 3 damage. And I think it's range 4, right? So if we make it range 5, it can hit 5 targets. And don't forget, you can draw any sort of pattern with Impaling Eruption you want. It doesn't have to be in a straight line. It can zigzag. It can go in a circle. It can do a curly Q. You can do whatever you want. I'm going on here. I'm droning on. Anyways, we're going to talk spoilers right now. Lightning Bolt, Angry Face, Triforce. So if you're worried about any of those, just skip ahead to the next item. I just hit my mic there. I've got... what are they called? Timestamps. I've got timestamps, and so you can just quickly skip ahead to the next item. So first, Lightning Bolt. You better leave if you don't want to hear it. Flurry of Axes. I mean, this can just get wildly out of control. And then we've got Angry Face. Darkened Skies. Again, something, adding all that extra range, especially in a scenario that has a really big room or something with a lot of monsters. You can be just, it can get crazy. And then Triforce, get out of dodge if you don't want to hear anything. Triforce, we've got Eternal Equilibrium. We've also got Lava Eruption, although you don't really need very often. You don't need more than 4 range. So Lava Eruption is a bit of a more than necessary kind of deal. But once in a while, like I said, when you're in one of those huge rooms, 5 range could really be quite useful. And yeah, it can get pretty... Hitting like 6-7 monsters is really fun. Okay, that's it. That's it for the Hawk Helm. Let's move on to the next. The next item I'm going to talk about is the Tower Shield. At 40 gold, it is a very pricey item, but luckily it only takes one hand, which is nice. Although, you're going to have to be pretty tough to carry that much weight on one hand. That means nothing. I don't know. I guess I think I'm funny. Not really. That's not even funny. Let's move on. Good Lord, what am I doing? Okay, so when you're damaged by an attack, you get to reduce that damage by 2. So fairly good damage mitigation, and in a long rest build can be pretty good, right? Use it with like a moon earring, empowering talisman, stuff like that. It can stop a lot of damage. But just remember this, unless you've got a bunch of other strong characters dealing a lot of damage around you, damage mitigation, shield, healing is always worse than just outputting damage. I just hit my mic again. So what is better? Well, I would rather have something like a battle axe in one hand for most classes, right? Killing monsters means they can't attack. When they can't attack, they can't do damage. You don't need damage mitigation. Just remember that. You always want to be focusing on killing monsters and not just turtling up, because you have a finite amount of time. Every rest cycle you lose a card. When you play a lost card, you lose a card, and so your life force just dwindles back and forth, just dwindles down, and you can't just be turtling up. So only in very specific circumstances and party compositions would I actually recommend this, even though the effect is fairly good and it can be reasonably powerful. Like in a 2-player party, I most of the time wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend you go for damage unless you've got an ultra strong killing machine who is your other partner. So opportunity cost to me is pretty high. The item scales okay. I mean, we're already at Prosperity 4. And so down the road, Shield 2 is still fairly good. And it works in conjunction with armor. And so we've got a decent effect, but party composition dependent. Okay, that's good. Our last item is the Volatile Bomb at 30 gold, and it only takes a single hand slot. Very good item. Very good to turn single target attacks into an area of effect. And so what you really want to be looking for is nice, flexible single target attacks that have stun, curse, or disarm. Probably, of course you go in order: stun, disarm, curse, right? Those are the best. Like take something super simple like the Tinkerer's Stun Shot. Now you get to turn it into stun 3 monsters and do 1 damage each. And that's just a very basic level 1 example. So yeah, it's our second best item at Prosperity 4. And don't forget, I'm going to rank all of these. Watch out for the video after I finish the item discussion vids for Prosperity 4. I will be doing the tier ranking list for Prosperity 4 items. And so yeah, it's really good. It has low opportunity cost. It's only 1 hand slot. It's less than something like the Tower Shield. Like it costs less, and it has not a game-breaking effect, but definitely a game-changing effect. Being able to turn one of those single target attacks into a multi-target is just so good for certain classes. And like, even just take something simple like the Tinkerer's Crankbow, right? Now you're like 6 damage each. It just turns like fairly medium kind of card into something exceptional, and is so good for, ranged classes with strong ranged attacks. And like really good for something like Cragheart, Massive Boulder, and Blind Destruction. Just get completely and utterly insane with this thing. Like this may be the best item in the game for a Cragheart. Make sure and comment. Let me know if you think there's something that goes better with the Cragheart, but just off the top of my head, just synergizing well. Like there's some items later on that are just like ridiculously broken regardless of who you play them with. But I think for an item that isn't maybe, completely ridiculous, it just works so well with the Cragheart. Okay, some spoilers for Circles class and for Triforce. So if you don't want to hear those, I just want to say thanks so much for watching the video if you're ducking out early. Really appreciate it. Big thank you to my viewers and my subscribers. So we're going to talk about circles. Strength in numbers. This can get pretty ridiculous if you have a decent amount of summons. So, there are item summons. I don't want to spoil exactly what they are, but if you combine that with some of your other summoning stuff with circles and use this, look out. You have got a monstrous attack. And now Triforce. We've got Ice Spikes bottom. Malleable Evocation top. Just don't consume air. But if you consume the rest, pretty good. Winter's Edge top to destroy a huge group of shielded monsters. I mean, that can just, really decimate a group of shielded monsters. So plenty of potential. Great for ranged classes. One of the better items in the game. I don't know if it's top 10, but it's pretty good. So that is it for Head and Hands. Make sure you stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to do, torso, boots, all that good stuff, small items. And again, for the second time in recent memory, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you watching so much. A big thank you to my viewers, to my subscribers. I couldn't do it without you.